favorite segment.
Mm.
Mom, they're letting girls into our club.
I didn't. Next week I'll have the updated one.
Oh,
I don't have that one yet.
fucking punk.
Yeah. What are we talking about this week, folks? Well, let's get into it.
Let's talk about stuff that makes no difference to everybody, but we're gonna go ahead and get all bitchy about it anyway.
Yeah. So this is fun. So we're gonna do a little bit of a watch the grift happen in real time.
Ooh,
A little bit, a little saucy, little saucy tossy.
Sausalito, California.
I've never been. Have you?
No.
Never been to Sausalito? Have you even been out west?
Yeah. Been to California twice, Arizona a couple times.
Okay. So Tyler, I don't know if you
lived in Colorado.
I don't know
for
if you know
years.
this, but there are 2 fantasy shows going on right now. 2 big franchises. We got on one HBO Max,
Mhm.
House of the Dragon,
Don't care.
Game of the Thrones prequel.
Aware of it. Don't care.
Funny enough, both prequels to massive franchises.
Yes.
Other
And then
one,
the Rings of Power on Prime,
Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power on Prime,
which is a prequel to the.
So I wanted to point something out because I talked about this briefly.
we talked about this off the air. Yeah.
Well, I've talked about this briefly as well. We did a segment about Lightyear a little bit. And then there's also, when I did the video talking about them freaking out over Obi-Wan Kenobi's sexual preference, I was talking about how they constantly compare things that you could, on paper, you could compare the House of Dragon to to the Rings of Power. But at the same time, these guys are so obsessed with making it a competition.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with Rotten Tomato scores. They're obsessed with audience scores and Rotten Tomato critic score, all this shit. So back in the summer, this one was egregious. They tried to compare, because they're kids' movies, they tried to compare Minions' box office that crushed Lightyear's box office. And they made it seem like it was this anti-woke thing where I'm like, I guarantee you none of those people watch Minions.
Yeah, because a lot of Minions, there's a lot of woke.
I'm pretty sure there's like a non-binary Minion or some shit like that.
Messaging in fucking. Yeah. If that's what you want to call it, there's a lot of woke messaging in Minions.
But they do this too. They also said that Top Gun was a win because it's not a woke political movie, even though it's about the military, so it's inherently political.
Yeah, duh.
I don't know how to tell you
Fucking
this,
idiots.
but the military is a political aspect.
These folks don't get things.
So this one, I'll give them credit. This one would make sense if you wanted to make comparisons in fantasy shows, I guess. But here's the thing, and this is something you'll agree with too, I'm sure. But art is not a competition. Art will never should be a competition. I know there's like Marvel and there's DC and things like that, but in reality, the only thing they're competing with is everything else.
Yeah.
They're not directly competing with each other.
No.
They're competing with every other thing that you could watch.
No. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So here's the funny thing. Here's how you can catch. I'm Chris. Why did I go Australian? I'm Jake Williams, and this is how to catch a grifter. So I'm going to play a couple clips before HBO's House of the Dragon came out.
Okay.
So before that show came out, they were just like everything else, saying it was woke, had their hate boners out for it, just like they have their hate boners out for Rings of. Which, by the way, I will be honest. I'm with you. I watched the Lord of the Rings movies that Peter Jackson made. I've seen the Hobbit movies that Peter Jackson made.
I tried to.
I don't give a fuck about Tolkien. I really don't. And I wasn't going to watch the show. I might watch it just to be like, fuck the chuds. But I don't care that much about this show.
I heard good things about it.
I've heard nothing from people that actually watched it or, and don't have an agenda.
Yeah.
I've heard it's good.
Things, yeah.
But they saw a black woman, as they do, and they saw and a woman lead, so they immediately hated it.
Of course.
So they felt the same. But here's the thing. They also thought House of Dragon was woke. I've got a couple clips of that. So this is before House of the Dragon. I have 2 from Geeks and Gamers about...
Let's get it over with. I hate these fuckers.
House of the Dragon. So this is the first clip. I think this was like a month ago. But here's the first clip from Jeremy Griggs from Geeks and Gamers.
These clowns continue to run the best circus on the internet.
He's not talking about him and his
Hollywood.
friends.
They cannot learn from their mistakes. They continue to show how out of touch with the fans and reality they are. And we're going to keep roasting.
This is a little bit long. It's about a minute and a half.
It's just too much fun. So right here, House of Dragon showrunners
keep roasting them. Keep in mind, they hate this show before it comes out.
I can't fucking hear it.
A white guy telling you how he didn't want white people to be in his show. Sounds a lot like Ryan Johnson. When Ryan Johnson, former Star Wars director who signed on for 3 more Star Wars movies that we've never seen, said, we need less white dudes directing Star Wars movies. After he signed to do 3 more. Because it's rules for thee,
how dare
not
he
for
make
me.
money?
It's always projection. It's always nonsense. And Game of Thrones has been in a really bad place after season 8. When you have people that are virtue signaling like this and going out of their way to impact the story and the cast with their nonsensical identity politics, it will only show that they don't have the fandom or the story in mind.
It's almost...
What is he talking about? House
it's
of the
almost
Dragons?
so predictable because he's talking about the characters, the showrunner, saying that he just wanted to have more inclusion in the cast because traditionally, if you watch the original show, it was mostly white actors and actresses, and he just wanted to have different color skin on his set. That's really all he was saying. But of course, you say that, they latch onto it, they attack it. We talked about it with the fucking Batman, the Cape Crusader. So here's another one. This is after the first episode came out.
Of what?
House of Dragon.
Okay.
And in the first episode, there's a scene where the God, I can't remember her name, but the queen is giving birth, and it's a situation where the king has to make a decision to either the baby lives or she lives. It's a very poignant scene, very hard to watch scene, very graphic, and it was the way that it was shown was to illustrate the dangers of childbirth and what can happen with.
So
childbirth.
what does he say?
Will you stop rushing the show?
Well, no, I'm saying like
I know.
get where you're coming from. Now I want to hear what he says, and
so
then we can.
Here's him responding again. He hates the show.
I'm sure
after one episode.
It feels more timely and impactful than ever. You are telling a story that takes place in a fictional world with dragons and murder and all of these horrible things.
How is dragons
and
and murder
you're
both
focused
fake?
on a virtue signal. Holy shit. This is why so many people have no faith in Hollywood. This is why I continue to say over and over and over again, do not give them any benefit of the doubt. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve any of your respect. They have to earn your respect.
No, they don't.
They deserve nothing.
Nope.
So let's deconstruct this because
this is so entitled.
This is the same motherfucker who was bitching about race swapping and gender swapping. And he just fucked up that point forever the rest of his life because he said they live in a fictional universe with dragons and murder. How is murder like not real?
Well, and here's by the way,
that's
by
number
the way,
fucking
Tyler,
one, dude.
If you watch the episode,
Number one.
Well, all they were saying. And I'm pretty sure this was an article that he read. I'm pretty sure
it's not it's not black and white. It's gray.
That's not even that.
Oh.
It was somebody writing an article about this show and saying that scene feels more relevant than ever.
So it's not about the actual show.
No, because the show.
So why the fuck are you talking to this guy? Why is he even talking?
Because he saw an angle. He saw an angle for the Grift to be like, they're talking about how it's Roe v. Wade. No way. By the way, dude, this was filmed like probably 6 months to a year ago. They had no fucking idea with the Roe v. Wade stuff. No. It's simply a scene about the dangers of childbirth.
Yeah, it doesn't take a horribly bad decision by the Supreme Court for us to talk about abortion.
And
we've been doing it for 20 years.
Here's another point.
50 years.
Here's another point on top of that. If in the context of the episode, both die. The baby and the mom die. Spoilers, sorry.
Whoops.
I know you're not going to watch it. That's why I said spoilers for anybody else. But the mom and the baby both die, and it's showing him losing his heir. The whole point of it is he's got a decision to make between making his brother or his daughter the heir of his throne. That's what it's about. And him mourning the loss of his wife and his child because she had a couple miscarriages. They had the first kid, they had a couple miscarriages, and then this one. And then she died. So that's what it was about. It had nothing to do with fucking Roe v. Wade. You made it about that. And just because you saw an article saying like, man, it's so crazy. It's like, why are you so upset that because they don't understand art. They don't understand this shit. They have no fucking media literacy. You know how many times you can pull from fantasy from any writer and it's pertinent to this time because guess what? They're living in this fucking time.
And we've talked about this before. Why science fiction writers are often
Sorry,
able
I didn't mean to scream.
Why science fiction? Well, I do it every day. Science fiction writers are able to kind of predict the future because they're using science, guys. So if you extrapolate, different aspects of science today, if you extrapolate and if you have critical thinking skills and you can kind of look at geopolitical impacts and ramifications on these types of things, you can predict maybe what the world's going to look like in 20 years.
And
you might not be spot on, but you're going to be closer than a fucking romance novel or a fucking conservative dipshit like Jordan Peterson or Geeks and Gamers. Because guess who doesn't use science?
If you can't understand, if you cannot at this, either you're an idiot or you're committed to your grift. Because at this point, if you can't understand,
I think it's committed to your grift. Nobody can be that stupid.
That everything that is made, any art that is made, is political. Because it's all the stupid fucking phrase we talk about all the time. We talk about the grift.
Art imitates life,
and culture is downstream. Politics is downstream from culture. That's just what it is. It's always been that way. Always been that way. So Nerdrotic, who's not appeared on the Grift Report in clip form, he also was anti House of the Dragon before it came out.
Game of Woke, House of the Dragon has less nudity and more androgynous characters. Now, we'll see where this article
He's reading
takes
an article
us.
from
The House
Bleeding
of the Dragon,
Fool.
the eagerly awaited prequel to the original series, has gone completely and utterly woke. Now, some might argue that A Song of Ice and Fire is woke. Game of Thrones was always woke.
Bet you
I would argue
George R. R.
that
Martin
I
is
would
probably
certainly
Bleeding Fool
say
is
that it
a
turned
knockoff
that
of
way
Bleeding Fool.
towards the end of the
No,
series.
Bleeding
and
Fool,
started
yeah,
to
is a
get
bullshit
very
right-wing site.
intersectional feminist, but the book has always had feminist themes, but it's also had a lot of other themes, and
It's
it
like
was
anything?
even-handed.
What are you
Most importantly,
saying?
It was well written with compelling characters, which is what we always want. Now, when they go away from the source material to say lean into intersectional feminism,
don't,
which it
but
looks
okay.
like they're going to do with House of the Dragon, that's generally what people mean when they say woke. It's a broad term. Is Game of Thrones House of the Dragon going to be woke, as in filled with modernisms?
Oh my god.
Yes.
See, this is what I mean.
Did it have those themes?
This is
Did
what
it
I'm
have
talking about.
Feminist themes in the source material? Yes. But as I've stated many times, in the source material, the women are just as horrible as the men.
So it's okay because women suck and the men suck and all the characters suck.
I just don't know why these people are talking. I mean,
But that's what I'm
is
saying.
their-
How can anybody think that is legitimate criticism of something?
Right?
One that's never come out yet. They both did these videos. The abortion one, the Roe v. Wade one that he's trying to make, the second clip for Geeks and Gamers, after the first episode. But that one I just played from Neurotic was a month before the show came out. And he's saying all this stuff because, God forbid, they have a black character in it. And I'm pretty sure one of the main actresses said she's non-binary. And
Why does it piss you off so much, guys?
and by the
give me
way,
a good
by the
reason
way,
other than ew, it's gross.
you know what it is?
Why you don't
you know
like
what
it?
his whole saying that the show was leaning into intersectional feminism was simply saying because the show had several strong female characters in it. And for context, there's at least 3 or 4 very strong female characters by the end of the show, including one. By the way, there's a woman that's the main villain. You should love that shit. You fucking hate women so much. Here's Ryan didn't have enough good white people in the Batman canal.
HBO's Game of Thrones prequel goes woke. We'll explore internalized misogyny
It's like fucking paint by
and
numbers.
patriarchy.
You can predict
Yay!
this shit.
Can't wait. That'll be great. That's what everyone wants to tune into their fantasy series to get lectured on. And we've known this was coming for a while if you have been paying attention. Again, so much focus has been on Lord of the Rings, including here on this channel. But if you've been paying attention to the headlines that have come out, things like this. Showrunner for Game of Thrones spinoff House of the Dragon says House Valerian was race swapped to avoid putting, quote, another bunch of white people on the screen. Of course, something that George R. R. Martin likely signed off on because he's trying to do everything he can to atone for all of his non-woke things that he wrote in the past. And what about this? House of the Dragon showrunners revealed Game of Thrones spinoff was written with a focus on addressing accusations of racism and sexism against the original series. That's how this entire thing is being written. That's why it's not a surprise.
Yeah, I just kind of cut it there. again, this is what my favorite. I love this so much. They act like the woke mob is literally the mob. They act like these people on Twitter are like, we heard you didn't put enough diversity in that show.
Right?
Where's the feminism? Where's the strong women characters? What the fuck are you talking about?
I just.
What the fuck are you talking about? I know, Tyler. I know. No, again.
Are we done?
No,
with the
I want
report?
to. We're almost. I want to do.
I just hate these
but the
fuckers.
reason I do this, the reason I've taken time out of our show to do
No, and I
this,
like that we do because they need
we
to be
have
taken
to
down.
point it out. We
They need
have
to be
to show
taken
you
down.
that you should not go to these people for their opinions, not because of the politics, because they don't have real opinions. They
No.
just have talking points.
And
They're
it's-
just like every other fucking lunatic on Fox News
You-
or anywhere
yeah,
else.
They're getting big bucks to say this shit. And here's why we're not shills. Again, I've said it before, but we don't make money doing any of this.
No.
And
We
I know Jake well enough to know, and I know myself well enough, that if somebody came up to us and they were like, we'll give you $1 million to start acting like the fuckers at Geeks and Gamers and shit,
Yeah.
I know I would say no.
Absolutely. I would much rather make nothing doing what we're doing now, having fun, being ourselves, than being a bunch of lying fucking
Having
grifters
said
with
that, if I was standing in front of a guy who had an actual $1 million in a suitcase
change
in
my mind.
cash, I might say yes.
Okay, so
I'm not perfect or above it.
to wrap it up, House of Dragon comes out.
Mm.
Uh-oh, they actually like it. Fuck. But, here's the angle. We can still throw shade at Rings of Power.
Okay.
We can still attack Rings of Power because we still hate that.
Sure.
We still don't like that,
Sure.
right? So we got 2 more clips, and these are shorter clips. These are shorter.
It's fine. It's cool.
And the reason I point this out is because I find this funny. So, Geeks and Gamers, they do like a Tuesday live stream. They call it Tuesday Night Main Event. They did a segment about how Rings of Power and Game of Thrones and House of Dragon. Here's Geeks and Gamers.
But it is nice to have something to mildly look forward to
Oh.
so far.
What?
That's the wrong clip.
Oh.
Oh well, fuck it. Anyway, we're just gonna do the Nerdrotic clip.
Yeah.
So this is Nerdrotic and his review, which is the most clickbaitiest title because, and I dug trying to get the clip where he talks about Ring of Power because in the title he says House of Dragon embarrasses Rings of Power or something to that effect, all caps. You know how they fucking do that shit. He's saying House of Dragon is so much better than Rings of Power. In the title, he talks for maybe. Oh, well, you'll find out. I believe this is a 10-second clip. That's how much he talks about Rings of Power in this video.
And yes, it is 1,000 times better than the giant dumpster fire known as the Rings of Power.
That's all he gave to that. But he made a whole thumbnail saying Rings of Power sucks. How great this. So this
all these racist fucks are clicking on this shit because they
Right.
agree with him
because they hate Rings of
they're
Power so
racist
much.
and bigots and misogynists.
And-
I'm not just throwing this word around like it's made of candy. I don't say this word lightly.
They're
But,
big. They're
but
bigots.
you've all proven every asshole that posts comments on our YouTube videos, you're giving yourself away.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love responding to you because it's so easy. Like,
But it's all
You
talking.
guys-
That's what I mean.
you guys twerking is cringy. You know what's cringy? Is your fucking whole world attitude, brah.
Well, that's the thing. They don't have opinions. It's just talking points. That's all
And
it is.
the worst part is that they're out there fucking defending these guys who make way more money than they ever
and then
will.
they can't just
and you don't give a shit about them either.
They can't be like, I was wrong. They can't make a video
No.
saying I was wrong. House
Yeah.
of Dragon is awesome. And then just like it. It has to be, I like House of Dragon, and it's better than Rings of Power, and fuck Rings of Power. It can't just be, I like this thing. It has, again, it funnels into the grift, because they know they can do outrage. And so if they say, fuck Rings of Power in their title, boom, they've got clicks. Even though, as you just heard,
Right.
they mentioned Rings of Power for 10 fucking seconds.
Now, we talked about Black Adam a little while ago and how, you're going to go in with a positive attitude and stuff like that. And I am kind of going to go into the movie with a little bit of, I'm not going to be as open-minded. I'm going to try to be, though, because I don't want to be biased. I want to give I want to give myself into this movie. What was the movie I talked about that for the first 10 minutes I didn't like it and then I leaned into
Thor.
it? Was it
Still
Thor?
Love and Thunder, yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, and I remember being like, and it wasn't because of the woke shit, whatever. It was because I just didn't really I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
And then I leaned into it, and I just recently rewatched it. Still a good movie, but there are times when I go into something with an open mind, and if I had gone in with a closed mind attitude, that I might not have liked it.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. Let's
I'll try and give Black Adam an open mind, just so I'm not like that.
let's just wrap it up by saying that's the point. That was my point of the Grift was. Before it comes out, they've already preempted the woke attack on it. Critical Drinker is another one who said nobody cares about House of Dragon. Then it did 25 million viewers, and he changed the title of that video. So it's like you can see the grift happening in real time. And again, they can't. That's my biggest issue. They can't just like something. They have to like something and then tear down something else.
Yeah.
It can never just be, I really like House of the Dragon. I don't really care for Rings of Power. That's how you know they're not honest. Because they attacked that show for months, and they still do it because they know it's their cash cow, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
So that's it for the Grift Report.